here from the Weather Hub, and today we're going to be looking at every single alert and what it means. Don't mind any other things here. We also might dive into the forecast. We also might dive into a forecast, but probably not. Like, I'll probably say that for another video. Anyway, so we're gonna be going from storm-based to tropical to winter to non-precip to hydro to fire, and then we'll go over to NOAA and check out other alerts because there's some that Radar Omega doesn't use. So first off, tornado warnings. Now, there's 3 different types of tornado warnings, okay? I'm going to use the drawing for you. So when we get a tornado, and it is really, really powerful, this is what's called a tornado emergency. These are very serious. I tried to draw a big wedge here, by the way. So this is a wedge here, and this is a tornado emergency. So we like to call these TEs. Well, that's what I call them, at least. I don't know. TEs. And then we got a tornado warning when we got a tornado that's less powerful but still on the ground. These are tornado warnings. These are actual tornado warnings. And then you got the final ones, which are just a rotation, which means it's just a swirling column of air in the sky. These are what I like to call just rotations. Rotation tornado warnings. TWRs. So you got T's, tornado warnings, of course, and then you got TWRs. And then I also want to dive into something here too. We got another one, tornado watches. Tornado watches are going to be like conditions are favorable for a tornado. And actually, there are some tornado watches in effect right now over here. And these can actually tell you, remember, a tornado watch means conditions are favorable for tornadoes and severe thunderstorms in and close to the watch area. People in the rock area should be looking for threatening weather conditions and listen for later statements and possible warnings. So, yeah, it literally says that. Now we go into severe thunderstorm warnings. These are more broader, but there's different types. There's a couple different types of these. First, you got winds. You got winds, which I like to call severe thunderstorm winds. Then you get the hail. So I like to call these STHs, severe thunderstorm hail. Or you got both, which means both the severe thunderstorm has both of them. Now you may be thinking, well, what do you need for a severe thunderstorm warning to become a severe thunderstorm warning? You need 60-mile-per-hour gusts. You could have over quarter-size hail, which is 25.25, or a swirly thing, tornadoes. That's how you can get some severe thunderstorms. There's also these rare type that have a tornado possible, which means a rotation is about to form, or could form at any moment. Now, this last one here I'm going to include in our flooding, but then we got special weather statements. Now you might be asking, what are special weather statements? These are like your little versions of tornadoes. For example, these are little versions of severe thunderstorm warnings. Usually when you can have these is when you have 50-mile-per-hour gusts and 0.5-inch hail. Now you may be thinking, and yes, I did mess up. It's actually supposed to be 0.5 for the severe thunderstorm warnings too. It just depends on the mile-per-hour wind gust. That's why. Special marine warnings I don't really like to talk about is because they're not usually that important. It just means that you really can't sail. As you can see, we can dive into one over here. Oh, that's another severe thunderstorm warning as it smashes into Florida. But yeah, we got one. Anyway, now we're going to move on to tropical warnings. And that's perfect because we got a tropical storm going straight through the US. So, first off, a storm surge warning, which, let's just go right here. I hate how that's there. Again. No. Okay, there we go. Let me just go to high res reflectivity for a minute. And let's go to storm surge. Storm surge is when a hurricane, or tropical storm for that matter, pushes water up onto the shore. But with the winds it causes. Kind of like how a Lake State shit does, except it's a hurricane. These are like feet tall, and it's extremely dangerous, so don't. And then tropical storm warnings, you know, these are kind of like tornado warnings or hurricane warnings. And then you got watches, which is the same thing. And then storm surge watches, which is, yeah, you should get the point. Again, these means conditions are favorable for tropical storm conditions, and this means conditions are favorable for watches, and yeah, it's like the same thing. Now winter, because it's August and we don't really got any you know, winter stuff here. Let's head over to the we will head over, I think, if it updates. Jeez. Let's just move this over here, then let me full screen that up. Yeah. For some reason it's just not. Let me just change it to that, everyone. And then I will go, and then let me just see if I can, like, change it. I don't know, I'm trying to change it. For some reason it's not working. But that's okay. So I'm going to go over these with the black screen on right now, because I can see them, and I can tell you what they are. You don't really need a visual depiction. So, I'll have to tell you every single one. So we're going to start with the least severe, and we're going to go to the most severe. So first off, frost advisories. This is when you most likely have frost. This can usually happen, or at least in my area, from mid-September all the way through into early June. These usually don't happen though much in the winter because it's already cold and below freezing. Frost advisories is basically when frost develops, and the only reason why we really have frost advisories is because one, it's gonna melt and get a little wet, and it'll get wet, which means you could like slip. And then two, for vegetation, because it's very harmful to the vegetation. It can very much hurt and kill your plants. Then we got freeze watches, which means conditions are favorable for a freeze. A freeze is like an upgraded, buffed out version of a frost, meaning it's more likely to kill stuff and it'll be more wet after it melts. And plus, it can kill even grass. Freeze warning, it means you will have a freeze. You're going to have a freeze. Now, next thing I think we should dive to is the wind chill. Now, I don't know if you could say that wind chill is the least severe, but to the ones coming up, I think it might be. Wind chill is basically when the wind, combined with the colder temperatures, will make conditions for being outside in general extremely dangerous, because you could get frostbite into exposed skin in less than 15 minutes. And then wind chill warnings are like this upgraded version of that. Well, you basically will have to. Now we're going to start diving into the winter warnings. First off, a winter weather advisory. Now, where I live, these are quite common. You'll see them throughout the winter, and there's nothing to be worried about because most of the time it's about frozen mix, which is not good for traveling, I'll say, and like 3 to 4 inches of snow, which is also not good for traveling. This is just letting you know that winter conditions are expected, traffic might be a bit slower, and just not recommending go out. Now, this is when we get to stuff serious. We're going to go to a winter storm watch. This is when conditions are favorable for winter storms. Yeah, not fun. And we could expect in these winter storm watches around 6 to 12 inches of snow and maybe even some ice accumulation in there. Not fun. So then we're going to be moving on to an ice storm warning. Ice storm warnings winter storm warnings are not fun because these mean that, you know, you're gonna have a winter winter. Yeah, winter's not fun. You're gonna have a winter storm. Now I want to tell you about winter watches. This is within 48 hours. It does not mean that. It only means it's possible. I wanted to say for the winter storm watches. So what it means is 5 inches or more of snow and sleet within a 12-hour period, or 7 inches or more of snow fleet within 24 hours, and or enough ice accumulation to cause damage to trees or power lines, and or life-threatening or damaging combination of snow and or ice wind. I also want to go over the winter weather advisory. This is basic. I wanted to add that if the event is expected to impact the Baltimore, Washington metro areas during rush hours, the forecasted snow totals of 1 inch is because, you know, and then the last one is a blizzard warning, which means we can expect blizzard conditions, which means snow and blowing snow reducing visibility to 1/4 mile for or less than 3 hours, and sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, 3 can gust to 35 miles an hour. There's no temperature requirement that must be met. Winter storm warnings is issued when a significant combination of hazardous winter weather is occurring in intimate, and sorry for intimate. I did not mean to say intimate. I was trying to say intimate, but I have really weird pronunciation, so it sounds like that. So So what you can expect is 5 inches or more of snow sleet in a 12-hour period, or that. Yeah, it's basically the same with the winter storm watch thing. Now let's move down here to other warnings, because we got done with winter. So now we're going to be moving to non-precipitation warnings, which means we'll have wind wind advisory, and air quality alert. Now this is also high wind watch and high wind warnings. Which are just the wind advisories in going through there just mean that, oh, it's going to be quite windy and you can get some stuff knocked down and stuff. You get power lines, trees, branches, etc. knocked down. Now I gotta speed through the video here because it's starting to get long, but. And then you got air quality alerts, which means the air quality, this could be from smoke, literally anything. It just means that it's high and people who are sensitive to that should not be outside. You know, tired. I'm recording this at like 10 o'clock at night. Sue me. The flood warnings are not good. The flood advisory means which is conditions are favorable for floods. Of course, we're going to be looking at right here. If you want to know, flooding by excessive rainfall, which means minor flooding in low-lying and poor drainage areas. So we're going to have minor flooding. It's usually not that big of a deal. It just means it's going to be a rainy day. Might have some flooding for swampy areas and stuff like that. Then we got a coastal flood advisory, which is the same thing, but it's just because waves and it's on the coast. I don't know what to say there. It's basically just the same. And then flood warnings, yeah, that's when it gets serious. Like up here in Vermont, for some reason. That means flooding of rivers, creeks, streams, and other low-lying and flood-prone. Yeah, that's not good. That's just not good at all. Then we're gonna go back to the storm-based ones, which is flash flooding, which means, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of flooding quickly. A lot of flooding. 2 to 3 inches in 1 hour. Wow. That's not good. Jeez. Damage that considerable. Now I want to move on to the fire warning, which is red flag warning and fire weather watch, and they have a warning too. This just means that if, like, let's say you have a campfire or something, or there's a fire, that means it's going to expand extremely quickly and fly out. This is a red flag warning is like that too. It's just like that. It's just like that. Except stronger. There's like fire weather watch, fire weather warning, and then red flag. And then, now, since we've got to the end of that, let's get to the other ones. There's also extreme wind warnings, too, which these are very rare. It just means for surface winds of 115 miles an hour, which is not associated with a tornado or sustained hurricane. Small craft advisories and gale are exactly like special marine warnings. Then we got dense fog advisory, just means fog, don't travel, not fun. River flood watches and warnings mean, it's gonna be there's gonna be some flood along the river. And then hurricane force, there's also a storm warning, which is just like there's a storm coming through the ocean, and hurricane force winds, which means there's going to be winds force of a hurricane going. And with that, that is every single warning described, so then when you see the next warning, you know exactly what it does. So next time you see a warning pop up on your phone, just think of what it means. And anyway, hope you have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are, and bye-bye.